This is a message from your guides reading for human angel. So I will go ahead and surround this in some protective space using my Shadakite. And this is the only crystal that I pulled for your reading. So Shadakite mainly has to do with psychic abilities and also manifesting because it's very grounded, and it is a healer's stone. Okay, no wonder I only need to pull. I only needed to pull one because that almost sums up like everything that has been coming up in a lot of your different readings. Okay, so there are a lot of thought forms at the very top of your head that seem to like to use this almost psychic energy that you have. And I think that's part of the reason why your guides were mentioning to you before that this area, this space needed to remain a bit more closed off, not like fully, but more so that it was too open and that it needed to shut a bit more. And but they're saying shut down, even shut down a little bit more. So it feels like even the openness of it or the activity of it, but it feels like subconsciously. So it doesn't feel like stop doing your work or something like that. This feels like a more subconscious thing where it feels like you're closing off, and consciously you're doing pretty well with it. And the things that you're doing, they're benefiting you. So they're benefiting the chakra. They're not opening it up too much. Um, they're expanding it, but in a different way, in almost an inward way. And also, it feels like it's gradual, so it's in a smooth way. But you have a lot of thought forms at the top of your head, and so it feels like that's the reason that it kind of opens, um, and then it will shut more, which has to do with more conscious work that you're doing to heal it and to heal yourself, and even to like focus where you're more centered, you're more grounded and still. So there's a lot of thought forms up there that have kind of um, gathered energy. So I feel like that could even be draining sometimes, because they can almost take like, it's almost like a vampiric thing where they can almost take like psychic energy from you. And I feel like they've done it by presenting images to you, that aren't facts, just these images that will pop through your mind sometimes that they're presenting to you. Um, I feel like as you clear, um, it's important to know and be able to distinguish, um, almost who you are versus them and who your guides are versus them. I feel like that's going to be happening more and more. I feel like it already is to a small degree. So that's already started happening, but I feel like it's going to expand more and more and more, um, where this ability that you have, you're going to be able to distinguish what's coming from you, what's coming from a guide, versus what's coming from a thought form that's more almost trying to kind of manipulate you or just feed off of your energy. and even create like kind of a cloud or a kind of chaos in a way, like to confuse things. If it can make things confusing and you don't know where to put your mind or your attention or your abilities to heal yourself, and you don't really know what needs to be healed or what area to focus on, and if it can kind of conjure up that sort of feeling where you can't really be still and you don't exactly know what to do, or where to put your mind and your energy and your attention and your focus, and it stirs that feeling up for you. It feels like it feeds off that, but at the same time, it feels like it hides other thought forms that are almost supportive of it. A lot of times, thought forms work together, and they end up kind of hiding one another just by working together, building upon one another. So you have one belief, but it's supported by another belief. So it makes it more and more difficult to kind of see the underlying belief or see where it's coming from. Or you even have thought forms that would just be more to help convince you that you don't have. Um, like, let's say someone's very afraid. They might have a thought form that acts tough. They're not afraid. And this thought form is going to be there on the surface and hiding all these reasons that they are afraid underneath. And so they end up kind of, how do I say it, depending on one another. So it's like you don't want to feed these surface ones energy because they're actually feeding energy to kind of underlying thought forms. And these underlying thought forms, it really feels like they have things to do with past lives, childhood too. But I feel like even more so, especially past lives. I don't feel like this thing with the asylum and this specific life that has come up during some of your previous readings, um, that initially actually came up during a reading from someone else, even. I don't think that this is the only kind of occurrence that was sort of like that one, where you were attacked for what you believed in or for psychic abilities. And it's kind of interesting to me now that you're mentioning this thing of being a psychic and that someone told you in a reading that you could be a psychic or this type of thing. And definitely the ability is there. But the reason that I find that kind of funny is I remember, at least I'm pretty sure it was you, during your first thought form session that you had with Wolf and I was talking about your mediumship ability. And you were so kind of like thrown off by that. Like, why would I do that? Why would I like have that? What would I use that for almost? Um, but I almost feel like some of the resistance is coming from these lives. So you even mentioning something like that, I definitely see that as something positive, whether you end up actually giving readings or not. Who knows? She may even have just said that to you to almost help you, um, to kind of break free of that block a little bit, where you are not so almost fearful or resistant to the idea of using those abilities. Who knows? In this lifetime, maybe you could end up using those abilities and it could end up bringing you more healing and tranquility just because we live in a different time where you're not really going to be attacked now. for certain beliefs or abilities, or believing that you have them. You're not going to be put in an asylum and things like that. Obviously, there can be exceptions, I'm sure. But you would definitely not be an exception. I definitely don't foresee something like that occurring again, obviously, in this lifetime. I feel like people around you would be supportive, um, but even if they're not like fully open to it, I feel like they could grasp the concept of this makes you happy, you feel better, things like that. You enjoy doing this is how you want to make your living, or whatever. And you feel like you can bring healing to others, and this and that. I feel like they would be responsive to it, even if some of them weren't in previous lifetimes. So I feel like a few of the people that you had um, past lives with during some of those experiences, I feel like they're here with you now in this lifetime. Oh, I definitely pick up on your mother. Um, and I feel like you had a past lifetime with her. And I feel like she was someone kind of negative, though, in the past lifetime. That she was someone who kind of put you down. And specifically, this one asylum lifetime, I feel like in some ways she kind of instigated that. So I feel like there's some kind of soul history there. It doesn't mean that she is necessarily so negative in this lifetime. People are different. I feel like in this lifetime, um, I feel like there's kind of both. I feel like there's kind of two sides a little bit, where she can seem one way or another way. I feel like that could clear though, and I feel like that mainly just has to do with this idea of um, soul history. And so it's like there's just that bit of energy there, or a lot even, kind of built up. And so she kind of senses that. People can get a little bit defensive, about something that they did before that was very wrong. And so they can end up wanting to almost judge the other person if they don't know how to interpret it correctly, which obviously she wouldn't. She wouldn't even be conscious of that feeling really being there, or she wouldn't understand it at all, or um, know what to think of it, just because it happened in the past. So she wouldn't really know how to deal with that necessarily in the present. So I feel like the only reason that things would come towards you negatively in this lifetime with her would just be because of this soul history that's there. So I feel like it could be cleared, in the present lifetime. But I feel like it would really have to be on your end. And she can be receptive of it or not. She might be fully receptive and completely do a turnaround, with how she interacts with you. It might be gradual that you see improvements. It could be sudden. Um, it it could be a partial thing, or she could really decide to close off to it, where you don't see much change, even a gradual one. But I feel like I feel like you would see some difference if you were really clearing this out of yourself, which you already are, but I feel like this would be a bit down the road. Like, I feel like you need to kind of keep cleansing this and doing things to improve yourself, and your situation, like your life. So, yourself and your life, it feels like. And then I feel like this mother energy can kind of be tackled a bit more. There's a feeling in the solar plexus, and this has to do with self esteem and it has to do with the mother. I don't think this is the first time that your mother has come up during a reading, but I think it might have been like a while ago, one of the earlier ones. It feels like there's just a lot of fear built up here. And I feel like that's the main thing that you're holding on to from these lifetimes. So, in some ways, if you did read others, if you did end up doing that, it could show that you had really, really cleared this. Or you might end up letting that go and you might end up doing another thing that really brings you fulfillment and you're able to see this accurately and let it go more and just do it for yourself. You're always going to carry psychic abilities with you, but I do feel like it's a major theme for this lifetime. But I feel like it's your choice how you decide to help others. And you can heal this fully and have a different occupation, or you can heal it fully and you can end up doing this in a more positive way that really benefits you for this lifetime and clears all that junk where you don't have to have something happen to you like that again, anywhere else, here, wherever. So stepping forward, it feels like really focusing on this solar plexus chakra. There are a lot of fears there, self-esteem issues there. I feel like um, definitely the sacral as well. Um, I feel like there are boundaries that you would set. There are things that you would do. If this solar plexus were really spinning properly, that certain things would just come natural to you. I feel like there's some almost like crap that you just wouldn't take. And so I feel like there would be a change in your vibration, but also like the way that you present yourself, the way that you put out your vibration and that you put off your vibration. I feel like you would leave certain situations, and for instance, you've been asking about this job thing. I feel like this is all related to this solar plexus. They're saying like 99% of this is really rooted in this solar plexus. Now, definitely some of the solar plexus issues come from the sacral chakra, but it still feels like this is primarily coming from the solar plexus. have some guide coming up. I definitely never have felt this guide during your readings before. There's a connection here with space, but the guide feels uh, there's also a connection to being human as well, human lifetimes. And they keep kind of coming in with this kind of Native American kind of feeling as well. But there's something else there with that. Like I feel like there's multiple lifetimes with this person. I feel like one of them is Native American. He feels really, really, really calm. He keeps saying peace pipe over and over. So I don't know if that was his name. I don't really feel like it's his name now, but at the same time, I feel like it's the one he's presenting. But I feel like this name, the way he would say it, is in some other language. Definitely not English. It doesn't feel like. Um, Even that, though, I feel like it's a nickname. Um, Even for the lifetime where that is associated with. I feel like part of the reason he's using it though is because it has to do with what he's bringing, and I don't feel like it's only the thought of peace and tranquility, um, but it's almost like bringing peace to certain situations in the past and letting things settle and almost be done with, where things are not really affecting you anymore, it feels like. And he definitely brings in like a very healing kind of energy. And he wants to help you clear this past life stuff. I feel an energy of this dog also. And I feel like he works with this dog that was coming up. And I get the feeling that really all of your guides do. There's almost a feeling with this dog um, of like, I want to say like a doorkeeper, like kind of energy, and also this feeling like he doesn't really let things pass through. And a doorkeeper is like a psychic guide. It's like a guide that helps you in that specific area, in the area of your psychic abilities and things like that. So I know we talked about how he was helping with astral travel and things like that. I feel like there's a little bit more to it. I don't feel like he's the only guide who helps you with psychic things, but he wouldn't be since that's such a theme in this lifetime. So I feel like all of your guides kind of do. Um, at the same time, I feel like there's another female guide who also helps you with that a little bit more specifically. But she's not really identifying herself exactly. There's, um, it almost feels like bugs or something. Um, coming off you or out of you. Like that could almost be how something is almost presented. But it feels like there's a lot of energies that are coming off of you. And I feel like part of the reason it feels like bugs is almost because there's almost like this creepy kind of feeling with it. I feel like things kind of try to creep you out sometimes. And some of your thought forms almost to stay, they feed off of that kind of vibration of where you would want them to go because you're afraid of them or you're resistant to their energy. And so that only creates more resistance, which is a holding on thing versus an allowing thing or a releasing thing. And so letting them go. So I feel like they kind of hold on to you by doing that. So I feel like any kind of, if there's ever like a creepy kind of feeling, I feel like it's a good idea to just kind of breathe through it and realize that you're actually not feeling that. There's actually something that's sending you that energy. It's trying to send you this almost creepy, kind of freaked out vibrational feeling to see if you'll match it. So all you really have to do is stay still and breathe. And even if it increases it, if you're not responding, I feel like it's going to end up going down. And it could even just start to seem like a joke to you, where you're just going to kind of laugh at it because you so don't identify with it. You so know that it isn't yours, that it doesn't creep you out anymore. And so then it's just this thing kind of trying to play with you that you're not buying into. And it's almost just going to kind of seem funny to you, like this scary thing that's trying to come across in a certain way that just isn't vibing with you at all. So it's almost just kind of cute, kind of funny. It's not like it bothering you. Okay, so that is all that your guides have to say for this reading. So thank you very much for allowing me to connect with your guides and bring this through. And as always, I truly hope that it benefits you. Thank you very much. Namaste.